Yo, what's going on, homies? It's your boy StumpD back for the OPTC video, and in today's video, we're talking about Grand Party. As we just wrapped up our PvP breakdown series, I thought we would move into Grand Party and keep the ball rolling when it comes to the PvP-centric content, and break down the leaders of Grand Party for you guys, put them onto a top 10 tier list for you as well, and break down who I believe are the best leaders in Grand Party. Now, I do understand that Grand Party is a game mode that not a lot of people love. There's obviously the rock, paper, scissors strat, then the low combat power strat that goes around, but over here on the Stump channel, we've always been an advocate of playing the game how is it's intended to be played. Now, obviously, I can say that from a very privileged standpoint of having a very well-established account, a whale-centric account with a lot of characters on it, and I have a lot of fun with Grand Party. So hopefully I can give you guys a very good understanding of what these characters do, what are the best in the meta, and break down what each individual leader actually does. Now, before we dive in, I do want to make a statement about Grand Party if you guys do like to play it in a more sort of endgame mindset where you build out a bunch of teams and you actually play the game as it's sort of structured to be played. Be happy if you guys get 10 to 12, 13, 14 wins. I understand it can be very disheartening sometimes not getting that 15th win because of RNG, not being able to see the last team and all that kind of stuff, but don't stress. It's free rewards at the end of the day, and most of the time you'll be getting stuff like 12, 13, 14 wins. If you get the Covenant 15, excellent, it's better for your account, but just don't stress if that doesn't happen. Another thing to note is too, by the way, obviously the meta shifts every single season. Every season we have a different rule set, and building around the rules is a crux of what you want to do when it comes to your leaders. Even if your leader doesn't boost the characters that are boosted under the rule set, it's much more beneficial to go with a leader that has a very, very good burst and a not so good passive, rather than a very, very good passive and a not so good burst. If you don't ever see the burst, usually the leader won't be very, very good, because you can just build around the rule set, get all those extra stats for whatever's boosted for that particular season, and then you can use your very powerful burst to actually help out whatever team you're using. Now, obviously, that's why Roger has reigned supreme for so long. He has one of the best bursts in the game, and obviously we'll touch on that with the tier list today. But if you enjoyed the content, belt the like button, hit the subscribe button, do all that good stuff for me. With that said, let's take a look at the tier list. Let's bring it up right over here. Alright, so we're going to start off with some honorable mentions. These are the 3 honorable mentions. First of all, we have Ace. So, Ace is an interesting one, and I definitely wanted to include him on the tier list because he's a very, very powerful character. The downside to Ace is that he doesn't really buff the best classes and stuff in the game. So he buffs Free Spirit, which is great. Free Spirit has a very good team now. He also buffs shooters as well as Psy characters. Now, Psy, they're not exactly the be-all, end-all, but in Grand Party, they are very, very good. So Ace, he was a lot of fun when I actually used him. Killer is the next one. He buffs Striker and Driven characters, as well as boosting Int, and Strikers are amazing. Driven characters have always been very, very good in Grand Party, and Int has just been such a dominant force when it comes to the Grand Party meta. And then finally we have Verse Kaido, another character that is just shone under a lot of rule sets, because a lot of rules have sort of favored Driven, they favored Strikers, they favored Int, and with Verse Kaido, he buffs Int, Dex, and Driven characters. So these 3 don't exactly see that much play anymore, but when Ace came out, he was very, very good. I haven't actually used Killer myself, but I'm definitely keen to do so, and I have seen content on Killer, so these guys seem very, very good. And if you have used them, let me know in the comment section below. While you're down there, put the like button, the subscribe button, as I mentioned, but let me know your favorite Grand Party leader. Let me know who you like to run the most if it's not Roger. So let's take Roger out of the equation. Let's move on up now. The next character on the list is an interesting one. It's actually Shanks and Buggy. Now, I wanted to include Shanks and Buggy on this tier list. Now, obviously, no one's used this character. This character hasn't been out for a Grand Party, but they have a very interesting kit. They are basically designed to nerf Roger. Their level 5 passive gives level 4 attack and speed to slashes, level 2 CT up to slashes, and then they boost Dex and Psy. Once again, like I said, Psy are very, very good in the meta. Dex have always been a predominant force with a lot of different options, and slashes, in my opinion, are the best class in terms of PvP at the moment. They once upon a time were, they had a resurgence, and now they're having another resurgence as well. So this unit does seem very, very good, because after 50,000 damage, you can activate their burst. And if you guys know what Roger's burst is, he needs to he needs to take 50,000 damage. So if you're going up against a Roger, this character does work, or does seem to work very, very well. As at level 5, with 2 uses, you reduce half stats on the crew for 30 seconds, and then inflicts level 10 attack and defense down to int and psi characters for 30 seconds, and also does 2,000 fixed damage. So as you can see, it's kind of just a straight Roger nerf, and basically when you see Roger's burst, you can activate this to counter out the half stats. Roger's so good because he literally just gives you half stats to everyone, and then you can just burst it out. But this will actually just take it away. So building side teams is really, really nice in Grand Party because they get a lot of extra stats. They can survive that first wave, and then they can come back, and you have the Yamato and Odin combination that's just running riot for so goddamn long. I'm not a big fan of it per se, but it has still been very scary, especially last season. Sai was great. Dex has always been a staple. Slashes are very, very good, as I said. You have chonky slashes, you have speed slashes with the K-Dad and the Zoro buff. You can do a lot of cool stuff there. Shanks Crew 6+, Cat Dog 6+, Bardo Cabin is 6+, Slashes just got really, really good. And this Shanks Buggy as well, exceptional slash unit. So making their way onto the tier list is Shanks and Buggy. Moving up the tier list now, we're going to have a look up here at Super Tandem Luffy. Super Tandem Luffy is still a very good character, but he's definitely on the lower spectrum for this particular tier list. As a leader, he boosts Dex and Psi as well, but he also buffs fighter characters. So I honestly believe that this will probably be the wave, but like I said, I haven't tested Shanks and Buggy, so I don't want to give them too much credit just yet. Luffy gives level 2 CT and defense up to Dex, level 6 accuracy to Dex, level 3 HP attack and speed to Psi, level 6 attack and HP up to fighters, and defense up to fighters as well. Downside to Luffy is bringing Dex fighters isn't exactly like amazing, even like with Garp and Donjin Jiao, like those characters never really flourished. Donjin Jiao is still very good, but those characters never really flourished per se. And Psi, it's still that 50-50 coin flip as we spoke about over here with Shanks and Buggy, but after you've received 20 hits, you can activate his burst, which is very, very good. Deals 5 times his attack to one enemy with the highest CT, and then gives 100% cooldown to 2 Dex and Psi characters. Now, the downside to this is that it can sometimes hit characters that already have a full special charge, which is a little bit of an issue for the character, but all in all, his passive is very, very good, and his burst is amazing if you hit the right units, especially once you go into a fight at the very beginning, like the second fight you're using the Psi team, or you're using a Dex team, and you can just bink out one of these bursts, give Odin and Yamato their cooldowns, and you just wipe the stage. So, very, very good character, but not exactly as amazing as what we thought they would be on paper when we first read the kit. Moving up the list now, we have Uta 6+, otherwise known as Tot Musica. Tot Musica has been very, very good because she boosts Psi and Int as well as Driven. And like I said, Driven have been in the meta for a very long time, and they've been very, very difficult to deal with, that Driven powerhouse combination of like Fuji, Tot Musica, Moria, all those types of units. But she buffs Psi and Int crit speed up level 3, CT up level 2, and then does level 6 attack and HP to Driven, as well as a level 3 defense buff to Driven characters as well. After the enemy uses 10 Rumble specials for one time, it sucks that it's only one time, and this is what hinders the character so much. She'll deal 4,000 fixed damage to 2 enemies 3 times. Now that's a lot of fixed damage, and that can do absolute bits, especially when you're at the back end of a fight, and you're like, holy crap, maybe like a Dofi special's coming, or a Kid special's coming. You can bink this and just pick them off, which is exceptionally powerful to just take out some of the big hitters on the opposition team. However, this unit has been a product of the meta being very powerful with Driven. Again, Psi with that 50-50 coin flip. They are better in Grand Party, like I've mentioned before, but Uta 6++, her biggest downfall is that her burst can only be used one time. And as I mentioned at the start of the video, the burst is really what makes the GP leader rather than the passive per se, because as long as the rules buff your units, the passive is just like extras for particular characters. So Uta, Demon King, Top Musica, very, very good character, but one that I haven't ran in a little while. Honestly, I prioritize Kaido just a little bit more, just because I like Dex a lot more than I like Psi. But look, that's just me, and I know a lot of people love Uta. Moving up the list now, we have probably a pretty controversial one. We have one of the newest legends. We have Odin and Toki. Now, Odin and Toki on paper seem really, really interesting, especially their burst, and that's what's got them so high for me on this list. At level 5 with their passive, they give level 6 attack to strength and quick, level 2 CT and defense as well, and then they give level 4 HP speed and critical hit up to slashes. Now, slashes are so good. The downside is that strength slashes are sort of built around Toki and Odin, and then versing Dex. So if you know you're versing Dex, this can work exceptionally well. And if you know you're versing Strength, the quick team can work exceptionally well too. However, there's not a lot of quick slashes in the game. Zoro is pretty much the only one. Cracker is an option, so you can do stuff like that. But like I said, you don't have to go Slasher quick. You can just run the quick-driven team. After you deal 50,000 damage, you can activate Odin and Toki's Burst twice, which inflicts level 8 defense down to 3 enemies with the highest defense for 30 seconds. Deals 3 times their attack to 3 enemies 3 times, and then after 50 seconds in the fight, does a 100% chance to inflict half stats to all enemies for 20 seconds. Now, this is basically just a lower version of what Roger can do, because you need to basically wait until the last 50 seconds of a fight. If you can get to the last 50 seconds, this is an exceptional burst, and this can win you and break teams down. But the downside to them is their passive, and I know I said the passive isn't the be-all end-all, but strength, quick, they're not exactly the greatest types in the game, and they don't really shine pretty much across the board in terms of, like, picking them out in other teams. Nevertheless, I have seen a lot of content with Odin and Toki. Shout out to my alliance member, Itachi. He did a couple of videos on it. I'll leave you the link to his channel down below. If you guys want to go check them out, they do seem very, very good, and could see a little bit higher on this tier list with the resurgence of slashes. But that burst, it does seem powerful. It's just the last 50 seconds thing could make or break this particular character. Moving up the list now to the bottom of the bottom 5, we have Uta 6++. The Cerebral Uta, the Song of the End. I love this particular character. I did a couple of videos on this character in Grand Party, and I really, really enjoy using her. She buffs Quick and Psy, level 6 HP and attack, and level 2 CT, and then she does level 4 attack HP crit to Cerebral characters. Now, as you just heard, that is her weakest point. The fact that she, again, just like Odin and Toki, boosts some very low classes. Honestly, Odin and Toki's passive is, like, better, and their burst could be better, so you could probably do something like this, and I would definitely accept it. But for me, I just have had so much fun with Uta, and I'm a big fan of that quick Cerebral team that's running around with, like, Shanks, especially now that they got a Shanks got a buff, Robin, Uta, and all those types of characters. But I should give Odin and Toki a go next season to sort of really get a better understanding here. Nevertheless, whether it looks like this or whether it looks like this, it doesn't matter all that much. But buffing Psy is very, very nice, because again, Psy need a lot of help in terms of surviving that second wave, plus the CT buff means that they're always going to go first. After 25 seconds, yeah, you just have to wait 25 seconds, you can use this chick's burst. 25 seconds. Ridiculous. Plus, you can use it 3 times. She's like the only leader that you can use 3 times, which makes her incredibly strong because she applies level 10 attack and defense up to the crew for 5 seconds. Just doesn't matter what your crew is, she gets level 10 attack and defense. It's only for 5 seconds, but like if you time this when you're about to do like a kid shot, like holy. Restores 50% of HP to 2 crewmates with the lowest HP, and also removes 50% of special CT to 2 enemies with the highest special CT. Now, this can be timed so damn well. If you're coming up against something like a Roger build, and then all of a sudden they have all their specials, you get hit by half stats, and you don't have something like Shanks and Buggy, you can actually use this to reduce the cooldowns to some of those big hitters, heal up your units, and give yourself level 10 attack and defense, which will in turn turn to 5 with half stats. But it's so much fun watching like Kid being ready to go, and then you just binking this after 25 seconds, taking all of that away, having all of your specials ready to go, and just destroying the enemy. So really, really cool burst. It's the reason I have her so high, because 25 seconds is so easy to attain. You can use her burst in all 3 fights, and she's like the only character on this list that you can actually do that. The downside is that Quick Cerebral, Psy Cerebral, like those teams don't have that much synergy, unlike some of the other characters in this bottom echelons. But we are going to move into the Covenant top 5, and on the top 5, I will be doing separate videos breaking down a bunch of team builds for you guys, and sort of showcasing how well these guys actually work. But in 5th slot, we have the one, or the two, the only, the great, Roger and Whitebeard. Roger and Whitebeard I have used quite a bit, and they've kind of fluctuated in terms of their greatness and how poor they have. They've absolutely destroyed my teams, and then I used them to destroy other teams, but then they've also not done as well as I really thought they would in particular seasons that I thought they would shine great. At level 10, they give, level 5 with their leader skill, they give level 3 HP, speed, and attack to Psy and Int, level 6 attack and HP to strikers, level 3 defense to strikers, and level 5 attack and speed debuff down to slashers. Yes, they nerf slashers, which is exceptionally strong because Roger has been running around like crazy, and obviously Roger buffs slashers. So being able to nerf slashers is not only good for Roger, but Slashes are littered across like every team. In the Dex team, the Cat Dog combination, Pell, Dalton, they're all slashes. In Strength, you have Odin, Toki, Kaku, K-Dad, bunch of slashes there. In Sai, you have Roger, Odin. This unit actually nerfs themselves if you're coming up against them in terms of Roger and Whitebeard. The slasher team has been so prevalent with like Dofi, Kizaru, Cracker, Shanks crew. All of those crazy slasher units all get a level 5 attack and speed down nerf, which is so big. After you take 35 hits, you can use their burst twice, and they give a 40% HP cut to all enemies. Massive HP cut. Applies level 10 attack, speed, and defense buff to Sai and int characters for 20 seconds. So if you're running your Sai team and you need to survive that wave and actually get your specials back, you can think this, do a big 40% HP cut, and then get a whole bunch of stats to survive and do a lot of damage to take down the opposition. If you're running int, like int driven, and what they can do with their defensive shenanigans, this burst just gives you so much bulk. So much bulk, and at the back end can just decimate teams and allow you to actually get a lot of damage output early. The downside to the 40% HP cut, obviously that goes into damage that Roger actually needs to get his burst off nice and fast. But nevertheless, with the resurgence of strikers, or the surge of strikers, I should say, and how good they are and how good they have been, Roger and Whitebeard has been a very, very good leader for those types of teams. And with Int and Sai being very, very good, Roger Whitebeard has been an exceptional character. Moving up the tier list now, we are going to make our way up to 4th slot. And in 4th slot, I have Luffy and Yamato. Luffy and Yamato are the one exception to the rule that I made at the start of the video, where I said it really doesn't matter about your passive. You really want to look at the burst. That's what you want to look at. Well, Luffy and Yamato are the one character here that breaks the mold. Their passive is so good, it's what puts them in the top 5. If they had a better burst condition, they would just be beyond broken in Grand Party. And the reason I say that is because their burst needs 9 full attacks. 9 full attacks might not seem like a lot, but for a lot of the characters you're going to bring under Luffy Yamato, they don't do full attacks. So you just literally never see this burst. Nevertheless, they give so much to their teams that they are so good to run as a leader if you guys need an option there. They give level 6 attack and speed to Free Spirits, level 3 defense to Free Spirits, level 4 HP, crit, and blow away buff to Strikers, and then level 3 HP attack buff to the crew. Yes, you heard that right, crew. As well as a level 2 special TT up to crew. So, if you're running Free Spirits, which are exceptional at the moment, if you're running Strikers, which I just spoke about, being exceptional, you not only get the Free Spirit buffs, but you get the crew buffs. You got Strikers, get the Striker buff, and the crew buff. And yes, if you're running a Free Spirit and a Striker, like this particular character, you get all of the buffs in one character. Some notable characters that get that are obviously Luffy Yamato. Verse Yamato is another one. I can't think of anyone else off the top of my head, besides like Nami, but she's not great in Rumble. But anyone that is a Free Spirit Striker gets so much bulk and damage under this character. Like, so much. And like I said, Free Spirits right now are so goddamn good with the Monster Trio. Strikers, as I mentioned, with Whitebeard Roger and Kid and Kuzan and Kanjuro and Sasaki, they are just so goddamn powerful at the moment as well, with all these extra buffs that Luffy Yamato are giving. But the downside to this unit is getting the burst. 9 full attacks you're never really going to see. I've used this character to length, and I've never seen the burst once. However, if you do manage to get the burst, somehow, if there's a character out there that gives burst attacks, full attacks, let me know in the comment section below, because I would love to see this burst in action. For 2 times, you deal 4 times the base attack of the leader to 2 enemies. Apply level 8 attack and defense up to the crew with 50% HP for 30 seconds. So, basically, it's just a bunch of stats. It's a bunch of damage. But, like I said, the passive of this character for what they buff and the quality of teams they have are just so damn good. But Luffy Yamato making their way on the tier list, finding their way into the top 4. Now, moving up to the top 3 now, this is where it gets spicy. And as you guys can see here, I have Zoro as number 3. Now, Zoro definitely flew under the radar for me of how good this particular character actually is. And again, it comes down to the burst of what this man can do, because I have seen countless videos. I have, in my testing last season, I got decimated by this man's burst. And this is what puts him so high on this tier list for me. Honestly, I wanted to put him higher, but I just couldn't go past the passive of the character we'll talk about after. But the passive of Zoro does level 6 attack and HP up to 3 spirit characters, level 2 CT speed, recovery, speed, and critical hit up for slashes. Level 4 gives level 4 guard and speed to quick members, and level 3 defense to Dex. So he buffs 2 classes and 2 colors. Now, Free Spirit and Dex, there's a lot of characters there. You have, obviously, Super Tandem Luffy, the new Sanji's up there. Obviously, dual units don't count into that. You have, like, Verse Yamato. For quick slashes, you have Zoro himself, but you can give all of this buff to the quick-driven team, which is amazing, giving guard for that particular team in the early fights, as well as the speed buff you get. Free Spirits are so damn strong right now that the CT buff is just massive, plus the extra HP makes them very, very chunky. However, the passive isn't the be-all, end-all. It's a good passive, but if we look at something like Luffy and Yamato's passive compared to this, like, it's just not there. However, as long as you use 7 Rumble specials, you get access to this guy's burst. You can use it twice, and it deals 2.5 times the leader's base attack that will ignore defense to 3 enemies with the highest defense, and then applies level 6 defense up to 2 crew members with the lowest HP for 30 seconds. This 2.5 times leader attack that goes through defense to 3 enemies does so much damage, and it's to the units with the highest defense. So that means that most of the characters in the middle, most of the bulky characters that are keeping the team alive, this guy just comes in and absolutely decimates. That burst alone I've seen cost people runs where they basically just had the whole run in the bag. In my testing, I literally had the run in the bag. I got hit by a Zoro burst, and then all of a sudden it went down to the wire and I only just won. I think I won purely on like a timeout and just had more units than the opposition. So be very, very careful of fighting Zoros. I really want to stress that, because if they pop their burst at any time, even at the start, this could just absolutely just pick apart your team and put you in a really, really bad position for the rest of the fights. Bursts are scary. They all are in their own way. You just need to know what you're coming up against. And Zoro's burst is one of those ones that you can't really prepare for. Kind of a bit like Roger's, where if it hits, you just gotta like grab the chair wherever you're sitting, clench those cheeks, and just pray that you don't lose some important members of the team. But all in all, I've had a lot of fun with Zoro. I do want to test him a little bit in the next season. Hopefully he gets some buffs to the classes and colors he boosts. But coming in at third is the King of Hell, Roronoa Zoro. Moving up the tier list, you can probably guess who comes next. It's the other one of the monster trio, being Sanji. Now, as you can see here with Anniversary, obviously, like, these 3 units make up the Free Spirit team and have been very good. Now, it's a little bit biased because Free Spirit was literally the last buff that they got. But even in, like, regular PvP at the moment, this Free Spirit core team is just running absolute riot. It is destroying so much. And Sanji is such an exceptional character for Rumble, but also in Grand Party. He buffs Free Spirit's attack and speed up level 6, gives them level 2 CT speed, level 4 blow away and HP and crit up to fighters, and then level 4 HP and speed up to Dex, as well as a level 3 defense buff to Dex. Very, very powerful combination. And yes, if you're running like Super Tandem Luffy, he gets all of this. Sanji, he gets all of this. It's actually wild. If you have a fighter Free Spirit Dex character, it's curtains. All these buffs are so damn nice. And obviously Dex has been such a powerful team for so long, especially in Grand Party. It works exceptionally well. You have a countless amount of variations you can run with it. Blackbeard just absolutely decimates quick and strength. Great HP cutter anyway. You have Dofi doing his shenanigans. Dalton and Pell and what they can provide. It just goes absolutely nuts. The new Free Spirit build, as you can see with these monster trio, just goes absolutely hard. And then finally, fighters are kind of like, that's kind of like his weakest part, the fighter part. After you use 7 Rumble specials, just like Zoro, you can activate his burst as well for 2 times. Deals 4,000 fixed damage to one enemy with the highest attack 4 times. Yes, it just pinks the highest attack and just binks 4k, 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 4k. This is pretty much just going to kill a unit. Like, if it goes at the start, your unit's just basically dead. If it's later down the line and you kill the unit on the second hit, it moves to the next one and just does 4k, 4k, 4k. It's actually insane. On top of that, he reduces 50% of the special charge to 2 crewmates with the highest CT, and then gives them a 100% chance of haste to the 2 units that have the highest CT. So if you're in like the last 50 seconds of the fight and using something like Luffy Yamato, you bink this, it gives them haste, gives them a full special charge, wham bam, thank you man, you pop off the Luffy Yamato special, it can do absolute insane bits. So the reason I have Sanji just above Zoro is because his passive is just a lot more well-rounded for the characters that he actually buffs, and that burst is exceptionally powerful. I honestly like Zoro's burst a little bit more. I think that damage output that Zoro can provide can just absolutely decimate teams, but what Sanji can do if you use it at the right moment with the right characters is a lot more beneficial to what Zoro can provide, on top of still getting a butt ton of damage. So let me know in the comment section below, do you guys like Sanji more than you like Zoro? Or do you like Zoro more than you like Sanji? Let me know down below, because at the moment, I'm a bit of a bigger fan of Sanji as a whole, but I do have a lot more fun running Zoro. I think Sanji does benefit a lot more people as well, because what he buffs is a lot bigger array. So that's the top 5 as we know it so far. Like I said, I will do a video on all of these particular characters, breaking down basically some team comps for you guys and how they operate. Now, can we get a big drum roll for number 1? It's the one, it's the only, Sengoku! No, I'm just kidding, it's Roger. It's Roger. Like, we knew it was going to be Roger. Like, let's be real. I started the video and you all knew it was going to be Roger. This guy has carried Grand Party on his back for the best and for the worst. Everyone hates fighting him, but everyone loves using him, don't they? So, Roger's just an absolute demon. I do really like that Roger, when he first came out, was like the best character in the game, and then he started to drop off, and then he 6+ kicked. He's like, oh my god, this guy's amazing. Oh my god. Well, before he 6+, Grand Party kicked in, he became the best character in the game again. For Grand Party, and then he 6+ just made him so good as well. This guy's a demon. Like, he's an absolute demon. If you don't have Roger, you don't know what I'm talking about. You do, though, because you fought him. I guarantee you have, and it's just not a fun time. But he gives level 7 attack and HP up to side characters, level 3 CT speed, and then gives level 4 attack and defense to slashers, level 7 speed and guard up to slashers as well. Very simple, very basic. Boost side, boost slashers. Now, this passive is probably one of the weakest in the game, if I'm completely honest. Boosting Sai, like, no one cares, really. Sai is kind of, like, in the bin. But can still see some very, very nice results in Rumble, and are still quite scary to go up against. The law states that every time you use Sai, they do fuck all. Every time you verse Sai, they kick your ass, and it's so goddamn annoying. Well, Roger gives them more CT speed, and gives them more HP, and gives them more attack, and there's a lot of slashers on that team too. You got Odin, you got Strusen, you got Roger himself. It's kind of nuts what Roger can provide to that team. On top of that, though, he does boost slashers. Now, slashers are almost at a point where you can run 2 very, very powerful slasher teams. Like, 2 exceptionally powerful slasher teams. But the new Zoro, who is an exceptional defending unit in Rumble, is a slasher as well. And guess what? In Grand Party, if you have more units than the opposition at the end, you actually get the win. So this can be a tactic that you can use to your advantage. But after you receive 55,000 damage, which obviously is very easy to do if you're coming up against like White Pit Roger. It's very easy to do if you're coming up against like Sanji and the top music and they're doing all that fixed damage. You can get this fairly easily, and ideally when you're building out Roger teams, you just want a chonky team at the start. Chonky slashers work exceptionally well because they can just eat hits, heal back up, and get you that burst ready for the second fight to guarantee the win there. And normally the chonky slashers will actually get the dub on the first fight just because they're so damn tanky. But after 55,000 damage, you can activate the best burst in the entire game. And not only can you activate it once, you can activate it twice. It blows my mind that this is a 2-use burst. When you have something like Top Musica that's only 1 turn, it actually baffles me that you could use this twice. After 55,000 damage, you can apply 2,750 fixed damage to all enemies and apply a 100% chance to inflict half stats to all enemies for 20 seconds. So the idea here is if you're about to take all of the enemy shots, you activate this, you halve their attack, and you're Gucci. You're about to send all of your slasher attacks down the line. You activate this, you halve all their defense. This ability is so incredibly broken that it makes or breaks fights. And this is the prime example of building your teams to the rule set rather than the passive. Because like I said, Roger's passive is honestly one of the weakest in the game. It doesn't compare to Sanji's. It doesn't come close to Luffy Yamato's. And honestly, it's not even as good as Zoro's or Roger and Whitebeard's. But the burst that this man provides is so incredibly powerful. Now, Bandai have not found a way to nerf Roger. Instead of just giving us better Grand Party units, they finally did with like 9th anniversary, but since, like, Roger's introduction from day one of Grand Party, there has been no one on his level. And instead of, like, nerfing him, banning him, doing whatever you want them to do to him, they've basically just given 100% chance to ignore half stats to a bunch of very strange units. Super Tandem Shanks, Super Tandem Nami. I think, well, Luffy Yamato were the first ones to introduce it, just as their passive, but this could break the mold of what Roger and White did, what Roger actually does in Grand Party, and how powerful he actually is. But let me know in the comment section below what your idea is to nerf the King, because he stands above the rest as the best Grand Party leader. Let me know your thoughts and opinions as well down below. While you're down there, belt the like button, hit the subscribe button, do all that good stuff for me. Most importantly, enjoy the rest of your day. As always, homies, thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one.